Hello and welcome everyone in YouTube land. I'm Craig Holliday. I'm a spiritual teacher and therapist. And I'm here today with my old friend, Chesaray, who's a Hakomi therapist and spiritual teacher. And I thought it'd be nice just to ask Chesaray about how she works and we could share together about working with clients and this intersection of working with clients and spiritual students and teaching retreats and this type of thing. So Chesaray, why don't you tell us a little bit about your work, how you work with individuals?
Thanks, Craig. My main heart in all of this is to love people and to make them see how divine they are and have a deeper relationship with themselves and the world that they live in.
So that's so beautiful. So I like this is the first thing you said. Your main job is to love people. And, this is something that our teacher taught. He sat me down and he said, Craig, your first job, whatever your teacher, therapist, counselor, whatever it is you're doing, your number one job is to see the client, the student, the individual before you as divine, first and foremost. So this is really different than, say, visiting with a psychotherapist, isn't it? This type of approach?
Yeah, it's much more heartfelt, and the bigger picture is there, the presence of the divine and the reflection that the person is perfect as they are while they're
Yeah.
also evolving. Yeah.
So Cesare, why don't you tell me a little bit more about how you work? Because this is one of the questions I get so often. People get confused about, well, how spiritual counseling or Hakomi counseling different than regular therapy, and how does that relate to your work as a spiritual teacher? Is it one and the same? Is it different?
Hakomi goes with resistance instead of against resistance, much like all the Zen koans of flowing with the tide instead of against it. I welcome people to explore what it's like when they have permission for what's coming up to be there, instead of reframing or trying to, finding cool tricks to get around it, which can be really useful to some people depending on where they're at. But the heart of it is everything's welcome, and if with consciousness, it can be explored in such a sweet way. And the other heart of the work is I work with people with ultimate tenderness, because in my own experience, that's the only way anything ever healed, was when it was just met with the powdery, soft strength of the divine and the tenderness versus like tough love or
Yeah,
pull
that
yourself
sounds
up by your bootstraps.
like a path of like the goddess or the path of Kuan Yin. And help me out a little bit here. Like I have a deep sense of what you're speaking about because I've received treatments from you and they've been wonderful. Let's say I have a lot of pain in my heart, a lot of confusion in my mind, I'm kind of all over the place. We'll make it fun here. And I'm also deeply interested in spiritual awakening. So how would meeting with you with, say, this experience of radical tenderness, how would that be different? And what actually is Hakomi? So those are, a couple questions there just to play with.
Hakomi is a way of relating to the many aspects of human experience, and went through a several year training, and it's a way of meeting different archetypes of personalities, and there's lots of different ways of getting people embodied. It's all sensory based, it's all present moment mindfulness based work that works very efficiently because it's alive in the moment and relational as well, which feels really like the person is actually learning how to be with someone, to be with humans again, because that's what we've all mostly experienced, wounding through human to human wounding, a lot of that.
Right, through like our experience with mom or dad or sister,
Mm-hmm.
brother.
The foreground of the work is the energetic support that's present. So that tends to soften, open, and calm and soothe and heal and, go and do work that I don't even know how to see with my own eyes. I can feel it in the space that people are being deeply supported by not just me, but other presences that work with me. So
I
that's great.
actually began to feel that just sitting here speaking with you, as I felt that, that energy of softness and tenderness come in the room, and it's really sweet, and I can already feel it, affecting my nature. And so I'll say thank you,
Yeah.
already just for receiving that. Sometimes, especially men get, a little bit frightened of, say, touchy feely stuff and this and that,
Yeah.
but it's really the presence. I think of the therapist or the counselor that's healing, or the teacher that's healing.
Yeah.
And right away, I feel that just being put in a relaxed state, feeling
Yeah.
a tender vibration. And so say, I acknowledge that. And then how would you work with me as an individual? Say I had
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
three things going on.
The way that I learned, not just from all the different trainings that I did in different modalities, but in my own unfolding, was through deep, dark shadow work. And so, whatever is presented, rage, deep anguish, pain, confusion, it's so okay. It's so human. And I am so gritty, nitty gritty, comfortable with all of it, especially when people are in deep existential or spiritual crises on top of having trauma. It's just so important that they find a human being on this planet that can get down in there with them without shame or blame and knows how to guide them through it instead of
Yeah.
just get lost with them.
Yeah, no, I think that it's so true what you said. Like when I was really young, I met my teacher, and it was just so nice to meet someone who I felt like he saw me, he understood me, he held a space of love for me. And there was many times when I would just lay on his floor, and he would just sit and talk to me. And I felt this, I think a real similar love and allowing and acceptance that you're describing. It's a beautiful thing, a very healing thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that I liked was, like you said, he didn't get lost in my confusion. He kind of held firm and with love. And with you, I can feel that too. That you have to be a really good therapist, a really mature therapist or counselor, to be able to sit with someone with no shame or judgment and continue to open with them.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, Chesaray, it's always a pleasure. You have such a sweet and tender presence, and just someone who I deeply respect. So, say if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. My website is chesaray.org and Chesaray.